What's the dumbest reason your wife has ever been upset? My wife and I have been going silly in the bedroom routinely since high school. Whether it be in the school bathrooms, the bushes, the back of an Uber, or even in the bathroom at her uncle's funeral. I still feel awful about that one. We graduated high school and moved in together. Then lockdown happened. At first it was incredible. We'd never not smell like one another. At one point we were just walking around the house closed down so we could just go out anytime we want. We tried our every position in the book, and things got sort of freaky. Eventually I just stopped being in the mood helfen, and stopped taking care of herself. Instead of getting Tibet we want to rage. She'd write on the other side Twitter with free scenes up. Would have asked why. She said she didn't need to impress anyone so she could wear whatever she wanted. She's also always ordering takeout instead of eating any homemade meals. This has caused her to gain weight and look bloated all the time. She doesn't even have the energy for anything besides work. As soon as she's done, she passes out on the bed and sleeps all day. Sometimes she tells me she feels exhausted all the time, but that's the most she tells about her problems. Though I still found my wife incredibly attractive and nothing could change that. I still didn't want to sleep with someone who hadn't showered in a week. As for any dates I wanted to take her on, she'd either tell me she wasn't in the mood, or that she was rewatching How I Met Your Mother and Robin just found out about the Robin, so she couldn't go anywhere until she finished watching the show. But after a month and a half of lazing around and gaining weight, my wife told me the truth. It happened when I helped her out to dinner at the restaurant when we had our first date. My thinking going there would restart our spark because my wife didn't even let me hack her any weight. Episode Dana. She broke. They saben that today and Arsha booked, and that's why we didn't get physical anymore and why she never wanted to go out. She didn't want anyone to see how she was now because she was ashamed that she let it get this bad. For reference, my wife gained 20 pounds. I held her all night and reassured her that she was still beautiful and if she wanted to lose weight, I would help her throughout her journey. When she told me that losing weight sounded exhausting, I knew she wasn't going to put in the work to lose those pounds. So, I came up with a plan so that she could lose weight and gain confidence, and we could go back to being freaky everywhere. It started off with small things like cooking healthier versions of her favorite fast food places and disguising them for junk food. I also didn't buy any juices or sodas when I went grocery shopping because I wanted her to drink more water. And I stopped buying junk food so whenever she was craving something unhealthy, I would just whip up a fruit salad and she'd eat it every time. I could tell it was all adding up because she seemed a bit more willing to do anything. I even caught her frowning, and when she came out of the bathroom with wet hair and a towel wrapped around her body, she looked like a goddess. I could tell she seemed to feel coughing enough to sleep with me. Otherwise, she would have made a move by now. So I looked online for a faster solution. I found out that cleansing her gut could help her lose weight because the average person has nearly 7 pounds of crap stuck in them. The idea was that if I got her a detox, her body would cleanse itself, since it wasn't doing that all anymore, and then she would look even better than she used to. So, I made her hop on a call on her knees, and reminded her why she needed to take the pills in the first place. She was a bit hesitant, but eventually agreed because she used to help her what help her feel better. She took 2 capsules in the first and seemed like nothing happened. She fully experienced the symptoms a day later. She woke up needing to crap and for an hour straight. She was fighting for her life in the bathroom. She was grunting, wailing in pain, and afterwards I heard a loud shriek. When I went to check on her, she told me that she saw worms in the toilet, and that they came out of her backside. She was sure of it. I did a Google search to find out why this happened, and was shocked when I read that 60 million Americans have parasites in the stomachs, and my wife was clearly one of them. I tried not to freak out and just take a passive size. I told her that the curling braids and where they started working because I was living for God knows how long. I explained that just to keep taking the pills because they could still be more in her, and I reminded her of the problems her bad gut health was causing her, like her lack of energy. She agreed, so the next day she took 2 pills when I told her to. She was on the toilet for an hour again the next day, and she found the worms in there again. I was worried she would get discouraged at this, but she shocked me when she willingly took 2 capsules afterwards. When she saw me looking at her weird, she said she knew she wasn't feeling her usual excessive bloating, so the calling breeds wasn't me getting loaded and making her crap. It was chill. Usually after eating, her stomach felt like it was full of gas and she wasn't anywhere near popping, but it wasn't anymore. On the 4th day of taking the Colin Breeze, she didn't spend a long time in the bathroom and she excitedly told me she didn't have the worms anymore. So far, the Colin Breeze had cleansed her of any worms in her gut and stopped her bloating, and her jumping into my arms excitedly was the most action I had gotten, and the most emotion she was portrayed besides the alright to cuts. After jumping multiple deuces, she waited to stop on a second to see she had dropped a couple of pounds. When the 5th day rolls around, as after sporting she wear, and she told me she was going for a run. She hadn't been out of the house in months, but there she was, being lighter on her feet, being newly energized, and going on a run. I loved watching her progress and seeing how happy my wife was now. I didn't even need to cook healthy meals of her junk food to keep her satisfied. She was back to eating anything I cooked, and she was regaining her confidence because at the gym where was the first time I seen her not wearing sweatpants and oversized shirts. And if I thought that was wonderful, later the day she wore a dress. She told me she was glowing so she'd have the shim off her beautiful butt. All I wanted was to have the dress as a shirt. And I honor for. On the 6th day, she wore her growing with a beautiful office, like the ones I see in TV shows. It was unexpected, but we shared a meal together and talked nonstop. I even found her admiring her body in the mirror because she was so much thinner than before. On the 7th day of taking the Colin Breeze, she told me she had dropped another 2 pounds because she kept exercising, eating right, and most importantly cleansing her gut. She told me she felt like she was a new woman. I realized that things weren't just back to normal. They were even better than before. I visited a mental health and just been ages. And yes, I got very much like cave.